If you're looking to optimize your current operations, I'm sure you have heard about the SOP term before. So an SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedures, which is basically a way to document how a particular process should behave, right? Or everything that needs to happen on one particular process. And why would you create an SOP? So again, to optimize your operations, to make everything more efficient, it's always better to have the processes running in the exactly same way, so everyone can be on the same page, and also it becomes very easy to train new employees, for example. So you're always making sure that no matter who is running the process will run on the exact same way, of course, in a standard way. That's why you have the SOP. And the first step to create a great SOP is to begin with the end in mind. So what is the goal for that particular process? So for this example here, I'm going to use a process to onboard new clients for your company, right? So what's the goal for the client onboarding process? So the goal might be to have the client starting and engaged with your company as soon as possible, so you can have all the necessary information that you need to start working on that particular client, and you can start delivering great results as soon as possible. So that can be one goal of the client onboarding process. The second step about creating a great SOP is to choose a format. Okay, so how you want to document that process. So how you want to document the client onboarding process, right? So it can be in a simple flowchart, it can be on a document, it can be in a Notion page. You can use project management tools like ClickUp, Monday, or others. So what's the best format that can work for your company, for your employees? Okay, so it's very important to choose the format. So let's say that you want to build a flowchart, and also then you want to document that flowchart in a more detailed way using Notion or a Google Docs. Okay, so that would be one format. So you have the goal, now you have the format. The third step is to get input from your team, okay, especially everyone that's involved on that process. So as for the inputs or best practices on everything that should happen on the process to make sure that you have a great client onboarding process. So getting inputs from everyone that's involved on the process is critical, so you can have a best-in-class SOP for that particular process. The fourth step is identifying your audience. So knowing your audience will help you understand how you should write your SOP document. So consider questions like, what is their prior knowledge? What are their language skills? Are they new employees just starting out on your company? And what is the size of your audience? All those questions will help you create an SOP that's going to be very efficient when everyone is reading it and start to implement your process on a day-to-day basis. And now the fifth step is writing down your SOP finally, right? So you understand the goal of your SOP, you understand the format, you got inputs, you know your audience. So now it's time to start writing down your SOP. And then as the last step of writing down your SOP is to review it and also to get inputs from, again, everyone involved. So it's important to get some feedback from a person that's going to be involved in the process, and also some feedback from a new employee that doesn't know about this process at all, to make sure that the SOP is clear enough for anyone that's reading it for the first time to understand about the process and to be able to actually implement the process on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so getting the feedback from your SOP is really important to fine-tune it before you start sharing across the entire company so they can start implementing the process. Okay, so this is the example that I was talking about. So creating an SOP for the onboarding process. Okay, so I like to create flowcharts for any kind of process because it's such a great visual way so you can understand everything that needs to happen on that process, right? So for that, I'm using a tool called Whimsical, but you can build flowcharts using Lucidchart, using Miro, even using Google Slides, okay? But anyway, so let's say that you have the new client coming in, okay? And then you want to start mapping out all the steps that needs to happen on this client onboarding process. After you have a new client, you need to get this one here. You need to send welcome email. Okay, let's change the color to purple. You need to send a welcome email. So that's step number one. But before you start adding all the different steps and actions here, it's important also to understand who is responsible for each step here throughout this entire process. So which department is responsible to do that? So that's why it's important for you to create sections here. Okay, so let's say that this is sales. You have the sales area. So let me do this a little bit. You have sales, right? And then let's say that you have, for example, customer success. And then you have finance team. Okay, so let's say that you get a new client here on the sales CRM, for example, and let's say that you need to send a welcome email, but that's actually a role for the CS manager. So this is gonna go through here. So the CS is responsible for sending the welcome email, and then the CS manager needs to add client to Monday, right? To the project management tool, add client to Monday. And the finance team needs to send an invoice, okay? Send invoice. And after sending invoice, you need to send contract. And then let's say that the CRM needs to be updated with the contract and with the invoice. And that's a role for the sales team, okay? And you're gonna create here a task for sales, update CRM. So that's a task for the CRM. Okay, that's better. Update CRM. Okay, of course that this is a very, very basic and simple example, but once you start to identify those actions and also who is responsible for, you are actually starting to create your SOP, right? And then after you have this flowchart ready, one thing that I like to do is to document it. Okay, so for each step here, you can add to the document, you can add all the details about that specific step. So what I like to do is to get this flowchart, add to a Notion document, for example, and start detailing each step here. So let's say that send invoice, and the details for this step here is send invoice, the due date for the next 3 days, the invoice should be emailed to the customer, and etc. Right? So you can start detailing each step here, and of course, who is responsible to do that? So finance is responsible to send the invoice. So you need to add that details to the document as well. So at the end of the day, you're gonna have the flowchart and all the details about each step on the flowchart. So that will be your SOP. Okay, so by now I hope that you're ready to start writing down your SOP. And remember, it's very important to write the SOP for each process that you have running on your company. And you can start with the most manual process. They are the most critical process for your company today, and then you can start implementing the same SOP format to other processes as well. And if you want to help to build an SOP for your company, for your operations, and then identify what are the steps that can be automated, just click on the link down below so we can get on a call and we can show you how automation works and how automation can help you make your processes way more efficient. Thank you.